A story for the grown-ups. Once upon a time, there was a man who had a waking dream, and he dreamt that he was going into a church. And as he went into the church, he looked up, and the light was shining in through the stained glass windows, casting wonderful shadows, and the motes of dust floated in the different colours as they came down. The rest of the church was quite gloomy compared with the brightness of the air, but as he looked around he could see that there were a number of people sitting or kneeling in the different pews spread about. Each person seemed to have a bird of some sort nearby. There was a chap who looked like he might have been a banker, I suppose. He was dressed very smartly, kneeling ramrod straight in his chair. Not a hair out of place, his clothes obviously designer fashioned, and beside him was a large white bird that stood as still as if it were made from plaster. Marble eyes that just stared and did not move. Then he looked back, and the church warden, who was looking after the church, was busying herself, putting out hymn numbers on hymn boards and collecting hymn books and tidying up bits of paper that needed recycling and just generally dusting down, all the sorts of things that church wardens had to do. And as she did, the little bird that was with her flitted and landed first on the hymn board, and then it landed on the hymn books, and then it landed on something else, and then it flitted about, and then it fluttered around in the air, and then it landed again. Then it was a little further down the church, and there was a man, quite a pretty little bird, and it started to fly up towards the hole that was in the window at the top of the roof. And as it flew up, it seemed to soar as if it was heading heavenward. But as it got into the rafters, suddenly it fell, dead, and landed in a heap on the floor. Then a lady came in behind him, bustling with shopping bags. She rustled and moved herself around, shuffled into a pew, making lots of shuffling and ruffling noises, put her bags down, and the little scruffy bird that was next to her just stayed there on the pew whilst she made herself comfortable. She must have muttered a few quiet words. Suddenly that scruffy bird just took off and went straight up and disappeared out as if it were going to heaven. She picked up her bags, made just as much noise and just as much shuffling and rustling, and left the room. Just as he was about to look for some other people, he noticed that there was somebody standing next to him. "Oh, hello." "Hello," he said. "I am the angel of the birds of prey. I suppose you'd like to know what they are." "Well, yes, it's a bit strange," he said. "Well, the chap with the bird that had marble eyes, alabaster smooth, and just stood there, well, his prayers were beautifully crafted, carefully written works of art, but he had no real feeling or intention behind them at all. He merely appears in here for show, to show that he's an upstanding member of the community, and so his children can get into the church school next door." "What about the one where the bird just fell out of the sky and died?" "Ah, now that was the man who was praying beautifully and really had wonderful thoughts until the moment that he thought about his brother with whom he'd broken up for many years ago, and he'd never forgiven him for running off with his wife. He harbours murderous, unforgiving thoughts, and his prayers died with them. What about the one that was flitting about? Oh, the church warden's bird. Oh, well, that one was flitting about because she never keeps still. She's always busy. She's always doing things. And because she's always doing things, she never really has time to pray. And the last bird you might have noticed was the little one that flew up and disappeared through a hole in the ceiling. The bird of the shuffling lady who came in with her shopping bags. Oh, yes, I wondered about that, he said. Well, she came in with the intention to pray for her friend. And she did. God heard the prayer and it disappeared. Think about how we pray and our intentions and our stillness and the things that we do it for. That was the story of the birds of prey.